This frame leaves a lot to be desired. Every time I move my bed, the laundry basket and the 3 books that I have my phone positioned on moves with it, so that's good. Hi, Internet. Okay, hi, Internet. My name is Savannah. Today is my first day of Thanksgiving break. It's my senior year of college, so it's my last Thanksgiving break of undergrad. Hopefully I get into grad school, but that's a different story. So I have some free time, which I usually don't have. I'm just getting over being sick. Just getting over meaning that it's been a week and I've had a lot of snot in my system for a while. That's gross, but I've been sick for a while, so that's why my voice sounds like this. Hopefully that's not too annoying. So, because I have some free time, my train isn't until 9:30 tonight. I thought I would talk about a story that occurred when I was a sophomore in college that is pretty interesting, a little different. Not what you would expect from a college dorm experience, for sure. I know for a fact that the person who is the subject of this story is not going to be happy that I'm talking about it right now. Even if I didn't put it on the internet and I was literally just discussing it, I know that it would probably make him angry. So I should be careful. I'm not going to call him the same name. He's actually in the military right now, so I could put this up and possibly he wouldn't see it for like another 6 months. So that's good, I guess. I'm going to call this person Sam. So, basically, the 2 main characters of this story are me and my friend Sam. And yes, he's still my friend. I mean, it doesn't really make sense until I tell the rest of the story why he wouldn't be my friend, but he's still my friend. We used to talk a lot, but now he's in the military. Anyway, I met Sam my freshman year. I go to Emerson College, and I lived in the Little Building my freshman year. And if you're not familiar with Emerson, the Little Building is right on the corner, and all of Emerson's campus borders the Boston Common. It's a vertical campus. It's not like your typical college campus. The Little Building is the oldest building that you can live in, and it's like the typical freshman dorm where you share a bathroom and you share a room because some of the dorms on Emerson are singles. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. That is the building I lived in as a freshman. That is where I met Sam. We were on the same floor. We were on the 12th floor, the penthouse. We were the top floor of that building. And that's where I met him. And I think the first like interaction that we had together was when he was playing Harvest Moon in the common room. Like the old N64 Harvest Moon that he did that thing. I'm such a gamer chick. I'm totally forgetting the name of the thing that you do to get old games onto your computer. But that's what he did, and he hooked it up to the common room TV, and I was like, oh my god, you play Harvest Moon? We talked about Harvest Moon. His dorm room was all the way down the hall from mine, and I have a lot of memories of just going down there and knocking on his door to see if he was there. For some reason, my first semester, I only really made guy friends. My sister hates this about me, is that like, I really just attached to like immature boys. like a 13-year-old teenage boy is like my ideal friend for whatever reason. For some reason, our brains work really similarly, which that sounds so terrible. It makes me sound like I'm not somebody you want to be around because 13-year-old boys are annoying. But yeah, like at Emerson, some of the dudes there, not to smack Emerson, some of the dudes there are a little immature, and especially as freshmen, and those are the ones that for some reason I just really latched onto, and Sam was one of them. And so we became good friends my freshman year, and then funnily enough, he was with me when I got dumped by my boyfriend who I dated all through freshman year. He was in high school at the time, back in my hometown, and he dumped me over the phone, and I freaked the fuck out. Like, literally, I was a little bit mentally unstable at the time, for sure, so I like to think that's why I like freaked out that badly, because I feel a little bad. He kind of had to figure out a place to put me because I was freaking out so badly, and he ended up putting me in the gender neutral bathroom, which the gender neutral bathroom was in the middle of the girls' room and the boys' room, and there was like a bathtub in there, I guess, for people like a disabilities kind of accommodations. Anyway, that's where he brought me, and I cried in the tub. For some reason I was holding a towel. I don't remember why. Somebody like returned a towel to me, and I was just clutching it in the tub on the phone with my then like newly ex-boyfriend, begging him to take me back. hearing people outside being like, what the fuck is going on? And yeah, it was Sam who was like, it's gonna be okay. It was during my finals week, I was really, really messed up about it. That is just a totally different story. Me and this kid are like really good friends now. I hope he's not watching this. My ex-boyfriend. Yeah, that summer was weird because I went back home where my ex was and blah, 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 blah. A bunch of shiz happened. But it's 3 of those within one suite, and you have like a common room and a sink and a bathroom. And I moved in early because at the time I was on the soccer team, so I moved in for preseason earlier than everybody else. And some of my friends were there because they were orientation leaders, and then Sam and some of his suite moved in. I think it was like last name was how they decided who got to move in. So because they're last names, and it was something they moved in first. So I was hanging out with him right at the beginning of my sophomore year, and I was also going through a lot of weird things. I got cut from the soccer team that year, so that was emotional. I was emotional still about my ex-boyfriend because a lot of weird stuff had happened that summer. And I remember I was in Sam's dorm with a bunch of other people in like his bedroom, and I was like, oh my god, get my Snapchat so I can like show my ex that I'm hanging out with dudes. And he was like, oh, are you using me? Like, he literally said that. We were on a very like close basis where he felt comfortable, like, oh my god, stop using me, ha ha ha. And we got to a point where we literally talked about everything. For whatever reason, I felt just really, really comfortable with him. Again, boys, especially the immature ones, not that he's immature, he's grown a lot since then, but at the time, everyone was kind of immature. And I just latched onto it, and I told him basically everything, and he told me basically everything too. And that's when I first told him like the questioning going on in my mind about whether or not I wanted to take my life. I know that my sister and my mom are going to watch this. Hey guys! And that's when he let me know that he had attempted it before, and he had jumped off a bridge, and he said that going to the hospital after that was the worst thing that he had ever experienced, and that he didn't want me to ever experience something like that, and it literally scarred him for life. And I experienced that firsthand when we were all in a dorm room together watching the 2nd season of American Horror Story. I think it's the 2nd season. Whichever one is set in a mental hospital, freaked him out so bad that he had to stop watching it and leave the room. So he had let me know that he was very affected by his past experience in a mental hospital. So we were close enough that I knew that, and he felt comfortable telling me that. So, the first time I began to realize that things were getting weird was early on in the semester. I remember because my school is a film school. Yeah, and every year at the very beginning of the school year, we have the 48-hour film festival, which everyone gets all like hyped up about, especially like sophomores and people who live on campus. I don't really know. I wasn't super involved with it, but I had a friend who used to be Sam's roommate, who they now fucking hate each other. He was like, do you want to be in my 48-hour film project? And I was like, yeah, totally. So we shot in his dorm room. It was cool because they like took all the furniture out of the common room and like, covered it in newspaper. And I don't remember the plot. I never actually saw it because they didn't win. But the whole thing was that I have to burp. That's disgusting. I never do that. The whole thing was that we had like a choreographed fight with each other. Me and Sam's old roommate, Jake. So they like taught me the choreography. We shot a couple takes. We had to work out some issues. I forget how the camera was, but it was basically just us having to beat the shit out of each other in like 1 minute and 30 seconds. And like I won it, I'm pretty sure. I don't really completely remember. But basically I had a choreographed fight with this kid who we all knew because he used to live with Sam on our floor. And a lot of people don't have strong feelings about him. I won't say that they don't like him. They just have strong feelings about him. So they were like, oh my god, you fought Jake. Like, we want to see what you did. When I got home after the shoot and I was finished. And everyone was in my dorm room, including Sam. And so I was like, oh, I'll show you. So I picked Sam up and did the fight how do you say this word? Fight choreography. There it is. With him. And I was getting vibes a little bit before then. You know, girls, I'm sure, when you just start to get vibes, and when I really knew was after that fight choreography, when I just saw and felt that he was happy to see me. I can't imagine being a dude. I'm sure that's just everyday life for them, but like, I don't know how I would deal with that. But I noticed that, and I was like, whoops. Probably should have practiced this fight choreography on somebody else. And I didn't think too much of it, but yeah. And then I don't really know how things started to go down after that, leading up to the letter. So the letter was like the catalyst of this story and this situation. So I do remember this. It was just a regular night. It was like 10 p.m. I just finished my homework. I was hanging out with my sweet mates, and I get a text from Sam that was like, I have something for you. And the first thing that popped into my mind, I feel like I haven't explained enough backstory, but like just because of how he was, how we were together, the vibes I was getting, the first thing that popped in my mind is, oh my god, he stole my underwear and he did something like sacrificial with it and he needs to return it to me. Like, why did I think that? I don't know. That wasn't what it was. He once again lived all the way on the other side. He lived on my floor my sophomore year too. And he lived all the way on the other side. So I was like, okay, I'll go. I was wearing fucking booty shorts, of course. So I like go out in the hallway in my little booty shorts and walk over, and I knock on the door, he opens it, and he seems really upset. And he's crying. And I was like, what is it? Like, are you okay? Is something wrong? Did something happen? And he was like, no, I just need to give this to you. I just need to give this to you. And he reached in his back pocket and he gave me an envelope with my name on it and said, just go, just take it. And I don't remember if I opened it on the way over there or if I immediately gave it to my sweet mates, but I was not the first person to read it. I think because I opened it and it was just scribbled all over like drawings of a very angry person, and it just said, sick bastard, you're sick, you fucking sicko, like scribbled and written all over it, and then it was folded and it was a lot of paper. And I gave it to my sweet mates. I guess I was just a little freaked out and I didn't want to read it. So I gave it to my sweet mates and they were like, yeah, no, you definitely shouldn't read that. And what they didn't know at the time was that within it, he had typed up a more like cohesive summary of the full letter that I think was 4 pages front to back, that they didn't know immediately. And they were really, really freaked out, particularly because they didn't find that and they just found like the 4 notes, like pieces of paper front to back written on. He also let me know that he hadn't been sleeping. I think when he gave me this letter, he was like, I'm so sorry, I haven't slept in like 3 days. So that also freaked me out a little bit. And then I don't think I read it that night. I think I went to sleep and woke up the next morning. This sounds really dramatic, but it was just weird. Like, it gave me a weird feeling. And so I woke up the next morning and read it, and it was a lot. I obviously don't have it. I gave it back to Sam at one point and he shredded it in front of me. So I'm just going off of memory, but it said something like, I am so in love with you. I have been in love with you for a long time. Ooh, I forgot a really important detail. Sam was in a relationship. Sam had a girlfriend of like 3 years, and they were both very Jewish and their families were very close, and they like went on their birthright trip together, and she would come visit all the time. We called her Lady Sam. He was in a very committed relationship. I should have mentioned that earlier. He was in a committed relationship. And he gave me this letter, and it opened with, I'm in love with you. And it just had this whole thing that I feel so sick, I feel so guilty, I can't sleep at night because all I can think about is you. And this is what I do when I can't sleep, is I write my thoughts down and blah, 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 blah. And probably the scariest part of that note was 1 full page. So my last name is Strange. Yes, that is my given last name. And when you looked at this full page, you just saw strange, 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 strange. You just saw my last name a bunch of times. And it started out with, life is strange, the world is strange, everyone is strange, what is really strange? And then it turned into Savannah Strange, Savannah Strange, I'm in love with Savannah Strange, I love Savannah Strange, I'm in love with Savannah Strange, over and over and over and over again. And that was really freaky. And then the typed letter was basically just a call for help that was like, I don't know what to do about this, I don't know what to do about the way that I'm feeling. I just don't want to be here anymore. That was in the written note too. It was like, I'm pretty sure it said in the note, I live right near the Charles River. That wasn't a name. That's just me describe it. But I live very close to the Charles River. So you just walk through the common, go through Beacon Hill, and you're at the Esplanade, which is right by the river. And it said, I'm just going to drown myself in the river and never need to deal with this anymore. Like, deal with the thoughts that are inside my head. And that really scared me, especially from my point of view, or sorry, mom and sister, I felt that way before. I've experienced those feelings. So I knew where it was coming from, and I was like, oh my God. And then he gives me this note, and I'm like, where's Sam? Where's Sam? He left for the weekend to go visit his girlfriend. She goes to a school in New Jersey, where he's from, and so I didn't get an opportunity to talk to him. I'm pretty sure it was also a Jewish holiday, and he was there for the weekend with his girlfriend. So I texted him trying to talk to him, and he really didn't want to talk, and eventually I was like, Sam, we just need to talk. Like, it was the next Friday, so a full week later, I was like, we just need to talk. Let's go for a walk in the common and just talk things over. And I was like, I think you need help. That's the only advice that I have for you in this situation, because I personally do not have the knowledge or the expertise to help you in this situation. There's nothing that I can do for you besides help you to find someone that is going to assist with your mental health, because I think that's what you need. And that's a hard thing to tell a person, especially when they don't think that they need it. Especially. And he was so against it, mostly because of his past experience dealing with his situation in the mental hospital. He was like, I'm never, ever, ever going back there. Never, ever. And he said out loud to me, I just want to go to the river. I just want to not be here anymore. I don't want to think these thoughts. I'm so disgusted with myself. I don't want to face my girlfriend again. And that talk, I thought we were going to get a lot accomplished and we were going to get somewhere, but I knew that nothing had changed for him. And he was just very abrasive and didn't really want to hear what I had to say, and I felt like I didn't have a lot to say to try and help him. So that was emotional. I get back. That was before nightfall. I feel like I'm like a fucking Harry Potter movie. Before it became dark out. And then I went back to my dorm, ate dinner, it got dark, and all of a sudden it was like, where is Sam? Where's Sam? And he lived in a suite, so he only had 3 roommates, so it was 2 and 2 was his suite, because it was on the far end. And we were talking to his roommates, and they were like, he went for a walk down to the Esplanade, which is the river. And so I was like, well, shit. This kid has just told me about all these horrible thoughts that are going on in his head, and how he just wants to end it all in the river, and nobody is with him, and he's alone down at the river. And I really didn't know what the hell to do. So I went to my RA, because I was in a point also discussing this with my roommates, where I was like, if something happens to this person who I care about, and I didn't say anything or didn't do anything, like, how the hell am I gonna live with myself? And it sounds so dramatic, but literally, I don't know how I would live with myself if I knew what was going on and I did nothing. So I went to my RA, I had a long talk with her, I explained the whole situation, I explained the letter, and she was very freaked out, and she called the RD. I don't know what RD stands for, but they're basically the boss of all the RAs. So she called the RD, and the RD started freaking out. And then they called the Boston Police Department and a search warrant was put out for him. And that's where I got a little freaked out. More so, they like brought me to the RD's office while they were looking for him. And she was the RD. It all escalated very quickly after I went to talk to the RA. And the RD was like, Boston PD is out looking for him. And I was like, he's gonna freak out if the police come up to him when he's in the state and try to take him to the hospital. Like, literally, that is the last freaking thing that he wants. And at the same time, I was feeling so guilty because I was like, well, I just facilitated, I can't talk, I just facilitated this when it's literally this kid's worst nightmare. The last thing that he wants. So that was hard, and I'm pretty sure his roommate Jake was out looking for him too. His roommates were out looking for him, and everyone was very concerned, and multiple RAs were aware. And then they found him. They found him at the river. They said he was just sitting by the river. He said he didn't really want to leave. He said something weird about watching the birds, something that was very off topic, but he was very insistent on the fact that he was watching the birds or something like that. And yeah, they brought him back to the dorm room, and that's where we thought things were just gonna settle down, like everything was gonna be okay, because he was safe. That was my goal, was to make sure that he was safe. That was my goal in going to the RA. So we think everything is good. It's still early in the night, and I'm in my suite, and then I hear a knock on the door. I don't think I got it. I think it was my suite mate who did, and they were like, Sav, someone is here at the door for you, and it was the paramedics. So the paramedics and Boston Police were in my dorm hall, on my dorm floor, looking for me, and I was that. I'm so sick. I was a little freaked out. It had been an interesting week too, with all the events that had occurred. So I was like, what? Why do you need me? And they immediately were just very insistent, like, why did you call us? Why did you call us? And I was like, I just got an email. I was like, I didn't call you. I made no 911 call. I did not call you. I don't think that this person needs to go to the hospital. They said that to me. They were like, why do you think he needs to go to the hospital? And I was like, I don't. He doesn't want to go there. That's what I said. I literally remembered that I was like sitting in a corner, crying at this point, like just freaked out. It's drama. But I was freaked out, and they were like down the hall trying to figure stuff out with the police, and I like tapped my hand on the floor to talk to to get the attention of a paramedic, and I was like, please don't take him to the hospital. Please do not take him to the hospital. And they were like, we're trying our best. We're just trying to figure it out, ma'am. It's okay. And just BPD and the paramedics were all freaked because they got called here. They think that it's a big situation that they need to handle because they were called here. And the RD came over and started talking to me, and then she started crying, and I was just like, what the hell is happening? Why am I comforting the RD? And I don't know where my RA was at this point, but then I had to talk to the head of psychological services for my campus on the phone, and she was like, oh, ooh. She also got involved because Sam posted song lyrics to his Facebook right before he went for a walk by the Charles, and I forget what the song was, but when we listened to it and we Googled the lyrics, I wish I remember what the song was, but it wasn't music that I really listened to, but it was a song about suicide, basically. He posted song lyrics about suicide onto his Facebook before he went down to the Charles River, and once we told the head of psychological services on campus, she immediately knew what the song was, she immediately knew that it was about suicide, and she immediately was like, ah, fuck. She didn't actually say that, but she was like, shit, guys. She was not pleased, I'll say. And so I talked to her on the phone. I talked to her on the phone earlier in the night about the song lyrics, and then she was just like, what are we gonna do? Like, the police want to take him. And I was like, the police, I don't want him to go to the hospital. He's gonna freak out. And she was like, he needs to go. And I was like, I'm not even involved in this. Like, I didn't call anyone. I didn't mean for this to happen. Which was the worst part, was that I was really just feeling guilty that all this was occurring, because like I said, I facilitated it by going to the RA. Basically, Sam talked to his dad on the phone and decided to go to the hospital, and that's where things began to die down. By then, It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. We had just been really involved, back and forth. I didn't see him. I hadn't seen Sam since we had our talk in the common. So things were dying down. We went to the hospital, and one part of me was like, I feel really guilty. I feel really bad. He really does not want to be there. And the other part was like, he's in the best hands. I'm happy that he is with medical professionals that can help him, even though he had to be forced to go there. And then at like 5 in the morning, I wake up to a text on my phone from Sam, and he said, if the doctors call you, you need to tell them that I'm fine. You need to tell them that I'm perfectly fine so they will let me leave. And that's another thing where I was just like, like you have this person who is not in the best state telling you that they want you to lie to a doctor so that they can leave because they don't want to be in the hospital, even though it's probably the best thing for them. Or maybe not, because mental hospitals and hospitals in general. There's a siren going and I just started talking about a hospital. I live right by the fire department also, so I don't think that's an ambulance. I think it's a fire truck. I'll wait. I'll wait. And I don't remember what I texted him after that, but I was basically just like, Sam, I can't. And I never even got a call from the doctor. And I don't know why he had his phone also. But he got released that morning. They sent him home. And a lot of shiz went down after that. Definitely changed the dynamic of our friend group. Because Sam became really paranoid that everyone hated him because of this incident. And that people were taking sides between him and me, or him and his suite mates. And that he had caused a big inconvenience and he needed to repay us back or something like that. And he also later on became very, very, very insistent on the fact that he needed to date me and he needed a chance with me and all that kind of stuff. Like, that never really died down. And I don't think it still has died down. Like I said, he's in the military now. We had the same minor, so we had class together for a full year, which was interesting. We did a lot of fighting because I've always looked out for this kid. I've always tried to have his best interests in mind. And eventually I just got to the point where I was like, if you don't appreciate this, I love the kid. I love the kid. And I guess it's just tough love. Or I'm a terrible person. I still don't really know. And yeah, he's in the military now. He graduated college a year early. He graduated in the summer. I hope that he's doing well. I still don't really know how to feel about that whole situation. It was definitely crazy. But I guess, if anything, it is a lesson that even if a person doesn't want psychiatric help, it's going to be the best thing for them, because the alternate timeline of the story is terrifying to think about. It's scary to think about, even though it didn't happen. It honestly could have. So, think that a friend or someone you care about is in trouble, get them help even if they don't want it. That's the moral of my story. The sun is going down, so that means it's time for me to leave. I'm a vampire, and wait, that's how vampires work? No, if I were a vampire, I would be asleep right now. Fuck, Twilight fucked me up. I don't know how vampires work anymore. All I can think is that they sparkle. Like, that's not how it works. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. Yeah, that's all. Have a happy Thanksgiving if it hasn't already happened yet. And yeah, stay safe, friends.